Today's episode is proudly sponsored by Hellbender Vinyl. For those of you that don't know, Hellbender is a vinyl record pressing plant located right here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, doing high quality, professional, top of the line record pressing, baby. We finally got one here. There aren't very many in the world, let alone the country, and to have one right under our nose is an insane resource. So if you are a musician looking to get some stuff pressed to wax, I highly recommend checking out the folks over at Hellbender. Tell them Sykes sent you. I've always wanted to say that. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Sit back, relax, and let's start the beats. My situation here is that I don't really have like a proper introduction for the show. It's not going to be like hey, Zach's here.
Good.
But Zach is here.
Zach is totally here.
Death Comes Lifting. And I'm sure some other things, but that's the main thing that I know you from.
Sure.
So welcome to the program.
Dude, I'm so excited to be here and talk to you, man.
Hell yeah.
Thank you, man. It's a cool opportunity.
Definitely. As we were discussing prior to starting recording, me and you have that funny sort of alternative subculture local scene thing where we're both pretty active parts of it in different ways. And even though we know so many mutual people, this is like the first time that we've really ever like sat down and talked.
Which is so cool.
Yeah.
No, and I was like low key feeling bad about it. I was like, I can't even remember if I've ever even talked to this dude. And I'm like, but I know I've seen you everywhere, you know? And I'm like low key, I'm like, I hope he doesn't think I'm a douche or something.
Nah, definitely.
You know?
I would never think that. I think that, you know, what I see when, as far as I know you to be, I mean, you know, off the bat, you run Death Comes Lifting.
True.
Right? Which is, how would you describe, it's a
loaded question, honestly.
Because I mean, on the surface, you know, it is like an independent gym.
True.
And
that's part of it.
Workout thing. But there's also more than that, because it's like independent, it's like an independent self-care community focused on people from an alternative subculture, but not exclusively, but it does cater to that sort of demographic.
Right. It does cater to that because I think that's just who I am.
Yeah.
And we can get into the backstory if you would like to. I'm sure we will on this podcast.
Yeah,
but
we'll get
to fast track it. I found myself in the fitness industry. I'm a personal trainer, yoga teacher person. But first and foremost, I am this counterculture, horror, heavy metal, rock and roll kind of person. And I found no place for myself to be represented. So I wanted to just give myself what I thought I would need if I were the kid starting out or somebody that's lost on their fitness path. Like, what would help them? So I just try to fill that void, and I'm very grateful that it seems to have worked at least a little bit, and we have a community around us that kind of latched onto it, and I'm just so grateful and proud of all those people that are with us along the way. Definitely.
Yeah. And, you know, with all of that being said, this is a type of thing that, like, you can't just casually do. Like, this
Definitely
is
not.
An investment, not only like with time, but financially, emotionally, like, you know, it is a big thing. It's a big weight to carry on your shoulders. So back to your point of like, I feel bad I've never talked to this dude. It's just like, you're fucking busy.
Yeah, dude.
I'm busy.
Right.
That's the thing, is like,
you get it.
We are both sort of movers and shakers in our own respective sort of things that we do.
Yeah.
And I sometimes feel the same thing where there are people that, you know, it's like, oh, maybe it's like, I know I've met that guy before, but I can't remember his name, and weird things like that. I mean, I've been doing this podcast for a very, very long time. There are over 500 episodes. There's people that like have been in the room that like I don't remember.
Yeah.
And I feel bad about that, because like it'll be like a whole band comes on, and like, you know, there'll be like 5 people in this room, and maybe one of them doesn't talk too much. So it like is like over my head, and it's like, fuck. Like,
yeah, we do exceptional things, but at the end of the day, we're just people, and we have the bandwidth of normal people.
So, definitely. for sure. So yes,
You
normal person Zach.
normal person say.
Yes.
I get if you can say that.
Well, this is a great opportunity to get into that.
All right.
When did you stop being normal?
I never was. I never was. And that's just the funny thing is so Death Comes Lifting's tagline, if you will. And if somebody needs an elevator pitch of what Death Comes Lifting is, I say fitness for the misfits. And that's kind of like an all encapsulating thing of all we offer and all I want to stand for with that brand. Because I never felt like I fit in. And even now I feel like I don't fit in. I've made this community and I made this place, but I still feel like such like an outcast in like, there's yoga world, there's gym world, there's apparel world, there's all this stuff. And I just feel like I'm just like the fucking total weirdo. And even with the community around you, I still feel that way, you know? And I never felt like I had any place to fit in. So it's an honor to have made a space for people that feel like they fit in. And that's like the coolest thing about it is, and we get a lot of like kids that come to the gym. I say kids like, you know, early 20s or like late teens that like, they never would have exercised before. They never would have had like a community or a gym, and we're like a healthy sort of option for them. And that makes me feel really, really happy and really cool.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's always been really funny to me how like this like counterculture stereotype is still such a big part of society, where it's like the only people that like take care of themselves are the jocks. And if you're going to be like counterculture, then that also means that you just kind of are a total degenerate, even in terms of like self-care.
Absolutely.
Which is like so not true, but it is like what kind of gets pushed from a young age.
And
like,
it is also like kind of lame because like Lemmy would never eat broccoli and do push-ups and take care of himself. And like, that's something I struggle with too. Cause like, I want to wake up and smoke a Marlboro Red and do my thing too. You know, it's just part of that culture. It's the part of health and wellness is not necessarily ingrained in part of that culture. That's like super cool. So, but there's also like somebody like Alice Cooper, right? That's like a huge influence to me. And that dude like takes care of himself and he's like spiritual and like, you know, doing all the things. And look at him now. He's like 80 and still killing it, you know, headlining shows and doing his thing. So there is a lot of crossover there. I just try to maybe bring that to light, and also just a personal identity of where I struggled with fitting in. And I wanted to take care of myself. I loved health and wellness and yoga later on in life and what that brought. But then I felt like lame for being in like the metal community or like the horror community where that is lame. You know, people think it's lame. So I wanted to make it kind of not lame in the best way I could.
Yeah. It's really, you know, I think it's important because even like as whether you're a kid or a teenager or an adult, I think that there's something that is very ambiguously intimidating about like a standard gym scenario or a standard yoga scenario, where like even if you feel like, hey, I like this alternative stuff, but I do want to take care of myself, it could be like probably pretty intimidating to try to go to one of these like big box spaces or even like another independent gym elsewhere outside of like one of the big, I don't know what you want to call them, retail gyms. Chain gyms. That's a good word for it.
Yeah, that's what I would say. And it absolutely is intimidating to most people like us. And it was intimidating to myself when I started, you know. So a big part of all the spirit of Death Comes Lifting, and I think a lot of good art, like any music or whatever, it kind of serves your inner child, you know, like what you want, what you needed. And I try my best to keep little Zach in mind when I try to do all the shit I do. You know?
Of course.
Yeah.
You know, prior to taking on this like big project, you know, like it's, as I've said, I know that it's a ton of stuff to manage.
Sure.
What was your like experience in regards to managing anything close to like a business or leading a community or social media or any of that prior to this?
I was a personal trainer and that was kind of my gig after high school. I guess it's worth talking about now. I was, you know, a degenerate rock and roll youth, as we all are. And I found myself in a very unhealthy situation, just physically, mentally, you know, just a sick, lost kind of kid, you know. And it was either, you know, go to therapy and, I had an eating disorder. I was overweight and I was underweight. I became anorexic and they kind of wanted to put me in like Western psych and do like, therapy and, the whole thing. And I just have a problem with authority. I still do, with all due respect. And I was like, I'm going to figure this fucking shit out myself. So, and I had some cool people around me that were, into the gym and stuff. My dad's kind of like a weightlifter dude. He's super cool. It's Father's Day. Shout out to Vinny. Big old Italian beefhead man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had some cool people in my corner, and I just educated myself on how I wanted to perceive nutrition and fitness and just build myself up to the point where I was like, okay, I'm not going to die. And then once people aren't worried about me, I'm healthy. Right. And I really just fell in love with it. Like I felt really good. I'm like, wow, I feel like so much better now doing this. And I loved, going to the gym. That became like an addiction that replaced other addictions and still does. To make your addictions healthy, I would say is a big tip I have for people, because they don't go away or they manifest themselves in other ways. So if you're going to be addicted to stuff, make it healthy shit or productive shit like business or building your community and art and things. So I just got addicted to that. That became a passion and love of mine. And so I wanted to pursue that. And I knew I didn't want to take a traditional path in life. I never did. If I didn't find fitness or make this my thing, I probably would have, I'd be a bartender and an artist and, working odd jobs and like setting up at fucking markets and selling my shit, like, or something like that. I would have been that like oddball. In a way, that's exactly what I do. It's just caught on a little bit better, I guess. So that led me to building Death Comes Lifting, in a way, just I was in the gym and did my thing as a personal trainer. And again, I felt so out of place. I felt, and I kind of like, I liked the process, but I oftentimes hated the environment. People were hit or miss. Stereotypes are true in every community, so I don't want to sit here and say like everybody in the gym's a jock douchebag because they're not. I met a lot of really cool people that really helped me along the way, but there are a lot of jock douchebags,
Sure.
It's just like in metal community and whatever communities we're in, there's a lot of great people and there's a lot that, fit that stereotype of not being so cool,
Yeah, people are people.
People are people everywhere, and just seeing like the likeness and all that. And I just wanted to create a space that I felt comfortable in. And there was nothing I wanted to wear. That's really where it started. I was like, I'm not wearing this. Like, I'm a personal trainer and they want me to wear all this like Nike uniforms and all this shit. And I'm like fucking rock and roll kid. I wore my like cut off, look, this shit. I've literally had this fucking shirt since I was like 16. I wore this in basketball shorts and I had black fingernails and I looked like Marilyn Manson and I was like pumping iron, and I just didn't want to wear that shit. And I was looking for like fitness clothes that were cool and I couldn't find any. So I said, I have an idea. let me make some, because I like to draw and paint and design. So I wanted to make some art, and it became Death Comes Lifting. And that was like the first iteration of it was just a clothing line. That's really all I ever had in mind for it when I first started. Was I wanted to make an alternative, just fitness brand shirts and whatever that was cool that kids like me could wear, that like fit the gym and are comfortable. And we still do that, but that's really like the backbone of the business. That's where it started, was clothing.
So how did it like spiral? I mean, spiral's a dramatic word to use, but how did it evolve? Mm-hmm. How did it evolve into, I mean, there's a lot of missing steps, but now, as we said before, like it is like a community far beyond a clothing brand or far beyond just being like a place to work out. Like there's so much, and there's a lot of people that are involved in it too, and you're doing a lot of cool stuff. But
well, thanks for noticing that.
How did it happen?
Pandemic, right? It was a pivotal point for everybody in every stage of the game in everyone's life, right?
Yeah.
So like I said, working in gyms, I'm going to people's houses. I'm just trying to make the personal training hustle work. I started to teach yoga. Yoga became a later thing for me, and now it's kind of my main thing, but I was always into it. But then like towards the, before the pandemic started, I was like trying to teach it a little bit. Pandemic happened, gyms closed. Nobody, wanted me to come over to their house and train them, because people, lose money, and I'm a luxury expense, yoga and gym and stuff. Like when times are tight, like we don't need personal trainer coming over to the garage,
Yeah.
And, so I was like, fuck, well, I have a really good friend. His name's also Zach, and he's been my buddy since we were 10 years old, and a lifelong best friend. And he still is my like video photographer. I call him the cameraman. He just does all the technical and digital stuff. And when the pandemic happened, I called him. I was like, we got to like make some shit happen, dude. And we made like videos and made movies and made like this we really did this rip on like 28 days later. We called it 28 reps later, and it was like an at home, everything you can use at home to like work out. And we made it kind of like played on the plague that was happening around us. So it was like zombie killing and just very 70s grindhouse style, like the kind of just shit I love. And we just had a fun time, and we set up our Patreon account that was like subscription service to our videos. And along with the entertaining stuff, I did want to deliver some just practical like at home yoga videos and workout content in a place that people could be entertained by, but also become healthy during the pandemic. And that was a great time because people didn't have much to do and they were looking for alternative options. And that started like the Lifting Dead army, where you see that's like the Patreon community. That's where that started as, just like our virtual subscription service to all of our extracurricular content that we still do and have a ton of fun doing. And that is when the community really grew from that. And then from there, I've just been trying to serve the online platform. When the world opened back up, I started teaching classes around Pittsburgh, mainly Black Forge and McKees Rocks. And that's when I started to do Sabbath Sunday. And that kind of took off and built enough of a practical community around me that it made sense to open a gym. And that was a little less than 2 years ago.
Yeah. It's kind of wild how if you just, I don't know, like keep your head down and stay focused, even if it's like in like a singular lane, it's wild like how many different paths can shoot off of just that one singular thing,
right? That
all tie together. It's just a matter of going somewhere.
And it's all just really shit I love to do. Like, I always wanted to make movies. That was one job I would think I would have one day, as like a movie director or writer or something. So me and my buddy, we have fun. We make movies, and they become like little workouts too. And that was a way just to keep us artistically happy, productive, and satisfied, and also deliver like a product that I think the fitness industry and online YouTube stuff really lacks, is like fitness with any sort of personality. So beyond even just like, we're Death Comes Lifting, and we're goth, and we're metal, or you can call us whatever you want to call us. I like to embrace everything and just make it different. But for fitness that doesn't either have like the, this is some nice and clean approach, or like the hardcore, whatever, it's either like one or the other. And I just I'm not either of those things. I just wanted to put my interests and my passions into fitness in a way that I didn't see being explored. And maybe there are some now that do it, but I just try to stay true to that and serve your inner, like I said, your inner child, your inner artist. I identify as an artist before anything. So that's always the most important thing to me.
Gotcha. Yeah. So like, the space opens up, the gym space.
Yeah.
And then you start to get more and more people coming in, and you're also starting to like use this space for things that are even outside of the fitness world, but still cater to like an alternative community.
Absolutely.
Is that part of the plan, or is this just something that just like it keeps evolving?
But yeah, it's a loose part of the plan.
Yeah.
I was just like, well, I wanted to find a space that was big enough, but also affordable enough that, here's my trauma brain. I'm like, well, if nobody comes to the fucking gym, we could just afford it anyway. It's just going to be our like warehouse, right? And like our Death Comes Lifting studio, kind of like what you have here. We can do our online content, like podcasts and, photo shoots, and I'll fucking live there, whatever, dude, So if nobody comes to support it, then like, I just want to be in a place that like, I could afford it, And, I love Allentown where we're at. It's like the coolest vibe, and it's reasonably affordable, which I'm very thankful for, But that said, people came, and people support the gym, and I'm like, okay, well now I have like 6 more jobs that I really wasn't planning on. I just wanted to like make horror movies and run around, but but now I have to like, I'm doing the personal training and yoga teaching, and I love all that shit so much, and the people are so cool. But I really did want to use, like, I always said from the beginning, and even designing our gym, I was like, I want this to like read more as an art gallery and a studio and just an event community safe space that like you also can work out and take yoga in and do, just get healthier. Like an alternative to, there's not many places to go in our kind of circles that aren't like a music venue or a bar or like, a place that you can go like without any like, negativity and just get healthy and have a good wholesome time. I want that to be what the crypt is.
Yeah. With everything that you're doing, because like self-care, fitness, exercise, all of these things, right? That's stuff that takes like dedication and time. And another thing that takes a lot of dedication and time is just juggling everything that you're juggling. Maybe in your particular circumstance of doing like personal training and things like that, you still get to practice. I'm curious, like, how often do you ever get to practice just for yourself and not like as a side effect of like also working? Does that make sense?
Totally. And that's something that, to be honest, I really struggle with that. At least recently, before when I wasn't as busy, I was still, grind and go crazy and do all that. But I had time that I could like do my own personal practice. And even just like, I teach, sometimes I teach 3 yoga classes a day, so like at the end of the day, like the last thing I'm going to do is more yoga. It's like you play 3 shows a day. Are you going to like, were you going to practice guitar in like the 45 minutes you have before you go to sleep or something? It's just like, sometimes maybe, but most of the time, no. So I get a lot. I mean, it keeps me in shape. It refines my teaching ability and I love to do it. But just recently I've been going, just checking out random studios. I go incognito to like some white girl studios and no one knows who I am. And it's nice. And it's great. I take some yoga classes. I do squeeze in like lifting workouts. That's easy for me to do, because I'm very grateful that, I basically have
access
gym.
To the space.
Right,
Yeah.
Right. And like taking yoga is a little bit different. Like a class structure, it kind of has to be like, you have to like be in your zone and do all that. But like I can squeeze in a 30 to 45 minute lifting workout, 3-4 times a week in between stuff. And that's great. And that keeps my head straight and it helps me out. And I love doing that stuff. But yoga is the one that's tough. I have to like go elsewhere to do that and make the time to do that.
Yeah.
And you have to make time for yourself, just like you make time for all the other crazy shit we do. If we neglect making time for ourselves, we learn the hard way that that's not a long-term solution, so I have to, I'm getting better at making time for myself and doing some yoga classes once in a while, or even just taking a fucking break. Cause that's important to do once in a while.
Yeah.
And I have a really hard time with that.
So like, yeah, what is Zach after hours? Who is Zach after hours?
Who is, they call me the Crypt Keeper, which is funny. And I don't even remember how that started. We were making characters for our, this is a long way to answer your question, but I promise I'll answer your question.
All good. It's a podcast. Yeah. It's all about the long way.
Yeah, it is. It's true. Everything is. It's all about the long game. For our first like video series that we were talking about earlier, 28 reps later, it was like, we have to have like character names or something. And I wanted to do like I think I called him the Lift Keeper at first, right? Like a play on the Crypt Keeper. And I kind of wanted to be like horror host Vincent Price meets Kenny Powers from Eastbound and Down, if you know that reference. Like, that's kind of was like the persona I tried to like develop. And it really just became an exaggerated version of myself, which I pretty much am those things, which is weird. Weird to think about. And then that evolved and we just called our workout space the Crypt, and that's why it's still the Crypt now. It's like the Crypt Gym is, what it's called, but everyone calls Death Comes Lifting the Crypt. And even in our videos, I would always say, "Hey, we're here from the Crypt," which was my basement, and I just became the Crypt Keeper somehow, and like I embody that kind of character because he's it's a sarcastic, fun-loving asshole, but he really cares and takes care of the place, So that's kind of my my character on the day-to-day, and that's not all too that much different from who I am when After Hours stops, because like so much of Death Comes Lifting, I guess it's like a double-edged sword. This is my life, it is me. Like I put so much of myself. It's a very authentic representation of who I am and what I believe in and what I like and what I do. But real Zach for fun, he likes to kick back and read. I hang out with my cat. I have a cute little black cat. Her name's Salem. She's rad. And my needs are very simple. I like to draw. I like to write. I like to read. I like to drink black coffee, go on long walks on the beach. And that's not true. I go for walks in cemeteries.
Long walks on the Mon.
And long walks on the Bond. I do go for cemetery walks quite often. That's a place where I find that I can meditate without yoga meditating. If I get to a cemetery, and that's something too cool with like death being in like so engrossed in what I do. It's like every day I'm very confronted with mortality, just being my name is associated with a coffin and death comes liftings everywhere. And it's like constantly reminds you that that's coming really fucking soon, man.
Sure.
And it makes you live life, I think, better, fuller, more calm. So I do like to go to cemeteries and take a walk and just like breathe, and keeps things in perspective. And I read, I write, and I go to cemeteries and drink coffee. That's Zach after hours.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine like being so engrossed in like fitness and personal care and all of these things. Like, of course, like you're constantly faced with mortality and like all of the dangers that surround us just from just from general life, from
for sure.
Anything from like, I don't know, like a bag of potato chips to like something way more dramatic that is always around us.
Yeah. And the more you look for it, the more you'll find all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
But also keeps the healthy balance, because you can do everything perfectly and die anyway. Well, you will die anyway.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But you die sooner than you think. I knew lots of people in the fitness world kind of that were crazy healthy and strict about everything they did. And I know a few people that did die for some complications from, life, your body. We're mortal. Our mortal shells are, our space is temporary.
Sure.
So it also plays a big part in the spirit of Death Comes Lifting, that it's not too serious. It's very tongue in cheek and it's very funny, and like enjoy your life and find that balance.
I imagine too that there is a threshold where on the surface, it's like, take care of yourself, be mindful of what you're doing, when you're doing it, how you're doing it, blah, blah, blah. But there has to be a threshold where it's like too much, like a toxic sort of level of trying to be fit or maintain things. And
it goes into a level of obsession that's not all that much different from having like an eating disorder or an addiction or something. That's all things that I've struggled with and still continue to struggle with, and this is my way of dealing with it for myself, right? And I definitely was that as soon as at first, I should say, like starting out, you get into bodybuilding and you're tracking all your macros and your calories and your workouts, and you keep and you can like be a slave to all of that. You become a machine and like kind of forget to live life too,
Sure. Because like I imagine it's just like, it's like there's like suggested numbers that people should be mindful of when it comes to whatever you're putting in your body in various factors, right?
Right.
But like every person is different.
Totally.
So it's like, you can't just like take a blanket thing and be like, because I read this thing and it said that I should do this, that's what's right for me.
For sure.
You kind of have to like listen to your body and like watch yourself.
So
and
true,
see how things are reacting. Right?
There's no one size fits all solution.
Totally.
And that's why there's so many different modalities. I think in fitness, they try to like sell you like, this is what you do, this is what you eat, this, and like it all can work. You find my training philosophy. And like, if somebody were to approach me and like want me to personal train them, I like to like figure out like, what do you like to do? Because like, if you like it, like the odds are you're going to stick to it. Or maybe we try a few things and figure out what you like, because everything works. You could be a runner and be in great shape. You could be a power lifter and be in great shape. You can eat just meat and be in great shape, all this stuff, veganism, whole thing, right? It all works as long as there's a saying in the fitness world, right? Everything works as long as you do, right? You have to you got to put in the work, right? And you got to find something that fits you. And overall, I just try to take a very balanced approach. I joke in a self-deprecating way that I'm a jack of all trades, master of none.
Sure.
But I also think that is a very like good balanced way to be in the fitness game, because I like to try all this different stuff. And apply it to what I feel is best fits me, and then I can extend that to the people around me, my clients, etc.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing too is like the way that your body functions today is different than how it functioned on this day last year.
That's so true.
And a year from now, it's going to be different because it is still
Mm-hmm.
decomposing matter.
Yeah, no
right?
doubt, no doubt.
And it's always going to like, I think it's going to be a constant chain of listening to yourself and observing and adjusting with those changes.
Absolutely. Not to speak of your mindset and your goals,
Of course.
and where you're at in your life.
All of those things change too.
Yeah.
You know, if you are somebody that like in your day job, maybe you have like a really like a job that's like super physical where it's like, oh, maybe you work in a restaurant or at a coffee shop, you're on your feet all the time, moving around, and then you go to a desk job where you're sitting for 40 hours a week now.
I see that a lot.
And it'll change your body because like all of those extra steps that you used to get, you're not getting them anymore.
Right.
And then
and the person
and like you don't even think about it until
it catches up.
It happens.
And then people come see me and like, what? And I say, I got you, Yeah. But your workouts are going to be different. If you're a construction worker, I'm going to tell you to do a way different kind of training regimen than if you are a desk job person. Even no matter what your goals are, you probably need, if you have a hard physical job, you probably need a little more restorative. You need a little more something like yoga or like circuit training, nothing that's going to break your body down further. But, if you have a desk job and you're looking to kick some ass and get in shape, then you can probably like step it the fuck up and be okay, in the gym. And I very much appreciate being trusted with that for people, and just kind of being a cheerleader too, to pump them up, because a lot of people just need to be told like, you fucking got it, dude. Keep doing it.
Hell yeah.
And I like to be that person.
Yeah. Is there like this might be a loaded question, but
Sure.
It is just a curiosity.
Cool.
Is there one thing that you view from like your personal perspective, just with your knowledge and experience and like personal health, well-being and things like that, that is like a common problem that you find that most people have if they come to you, or that you see in people?
It's like kind of one extreme or the other. I feel like is a lot, like we're very like kind of programmed to be black and white in our thinking, or in our it's overcomplicating every little detail of every little thing, and becoming paralysis by analysis, or you just don't even fucking care at all.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that's just more of that kind of mindset thing. And then that will extend itself to, your physical or whatever. So I see a lot of people that just need everything just simplified. I'm like, don't worry about any of this right now. Just like eat a little healthier and move a little more, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah.
And then a person that, doesn't care, doesn't want to know, has no, desire to, but has like I can't like motivate somebody to get started. They kind of have to want to. Well, if our content does, and then they hit me up, then fuck yeah, dude, that's awesome. I love to maybe plant that seed. But just like a little more motivation, a little more guidance. I think it's a lack of motivation, or it's just like paralysis by analysis of overcomplicating everything. And that's something the fitness industry really does well, is they want to overcomplicate it and confuse you and sell you shit that like, they sell you solutions to problems that they create kind of
Sure.
thing, and I just try to keep it so simple, man. Like, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, whatever. I've had a certification in sports nutrition, and I've been doing this for like, since I graduated high school. I have lots of experience and certifications and all that shit. So I always like to say like, I'm not a nutritionist, so, but I try to keep it like, if you couldn't go out and get it 10,000 years ago, don't eat it. Right. And if you just follow that rule, you if you just do that, you can pretty much eat as much as you want, whenever you want it. And you lift some sort of weights 3 times a week, or you do some sort of something 3 times a week, you're going to be okay. You might not be on the cover of Sports Illustrated, or you might not be but you're going to look good. You're going to feel good, and you're going to live better. And like where I'm at in my expertise, my community, is very few of my clients want to go to the Olympics or want to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated, or really want to dial it in. They want to just get healthier, live better, feel better, and be stronger or something, and that's just kind of my my go-to rule, because especially diet gets like all crazy and people are very dogmatic about like, what they eat, how they eat, veganism, or, all kinds of stuff like that, which I have nothing against any of that shit.
regularly, but for the most part, I feel like I look at them more as like banks, where it's like they like set things up in a way where it's like, we're going to get your money and this membership, but we're going to set it up so it's kind of a pain in the ass to go. And it's kind of a pain in the ass to leave if you want to cancel your membership. And it's just like, it's more about getting the overhead, a bank disguised as a gym is
For
like
sure.
how I see those places.
I think that's a very astute observation.
And like, it makes it, going back to the beginning of the conversation, it makes it feel kind of weird about going to a place like that. I mean, I've been to Planet Fitness a few times and it's just like, I didn't like it.
Oh yeah. That's,
and it's like,
I'm not hating the player.
It doesn't even have to do anything with like the people that are there. It just feels so like
the vibe is
off.
Generic.
Yeah. It just doesn't feel, I don't know.
Right.
Doesn't feel right to me.
No, me either. And I've just, for one reason or another, just always have seen that, felt that, worked in places like that. Glad I did, glad for the experience, but it showed me what I didn't want to do if I ever did have my own place. And I try to make that whole process of, joining the gym, canceling your membership if you want to, like there's no contracts. Everything's easy. Like I just am like, so like, just keep it real. It's like an inviting vibe, so I kind of want to be the antithesis to all that shit because I hate it too. That being said, I don't run like 20,000 gyms across the United States and have like, a whole thing. I just do my own thing. I don't know if I want to do all that, but they're a business like everything else, man.
Yeah.
And Planet Fitness is an interesting model as far as I can tell. I mean, I think that they're like the most successful gym, and they're $8 a month for your membership, so they're really just banking on you not going.
Yeah.
Right. So they're actually doing the opposite, right? Like they actually don't want you to go.
Well, that's like the same with like a lot of these like Starbucks, for example, right? You can download the Starbucks app and they make it, it's so much easier. You can order on mobile and things like that. You just got to add money to this gift card. But it's like, you have to add at least $10.
Okay.
There isn't I mean, maybe if you're like a wild person, there's a drink that costs over $10 at Starbucks.
Sure.
But for the most part, it's not. Maybe, $5-6 at most. So you're paying $10 to spend $6.
Right.
And so there's always that extra, $3-4.
Yeah.
That's just floating in your Starbucks app. Times that by however many people have Starbucks apps. That's a bank.
It's a bank, man. They're
that's a lot of money.
Yeah, and they have a
and
lot
they're
more
banking
power
on you just not always having more money than what you're going to use.
Right. Oh man, money scares me. I tried. That's something, success brings its own set of problems. Success in whatever realm I have it is,
more money, more problems.
Money, more problems. The Notorious B.I.G. had it right from the beginning, man.
Yeah.
And it's a balance. You need it. You want to do good things with it and do cool things and give back to like the community with it. But like I'm also in this whole process. I think to kind of answer what you asked earlier, like my experience in managing, running a business, whatever, like none, zero. Like this is very much like a learn as I go. Everyone very graciously compliments me and says that I am you're so good at marketing and like how you like whatever. Like I was raised by rock and roll, man. I look at like Kiss. That's my business school.
Yeah.
Right there. Like, they're pretty fucking successful. Look at all the shit they do. How do they position themselves? How does Gene Simmons do business? And Alice Cooper and all these bands. Like that's who I treat Death Comes Lifting like it's my band. And that is my like how I run the business is like I happen to be the singer right now. If Rob Halford wants to come along and get on vocals, I'll play bass.
Yeah.
That's fine. I love bass. That's fun. But I treat DCL like it's my band, dude. That's kind of how I run the show.
Were you ever in any bands or do any sort of music thing?
I messed around like young, like high school and after high school, and like stupid punk bands with your friends and never went like anywhere kind of thing. But it was good for the soul, and I'm glad I did it. I can like, I know my way around bass. I can get by like a punk set on guitar probably. I like keyboards. I like piano. Like I can fuck around, but like I'm not good enough. So well, I shouldn't
Not
put
with that
myself down
attitude.
like that. Don't say that about yourself, kids. Honestly, that was maybe a void that was never really filled for me, and I kind of feel that in Death Comes Lifting, right? Because I do like very much idolize and look up to and respect people and musicians and bands, and that's like such a cool, to me, way to live life, and and I just do it my own way.
I mean, it makes sense to me because like I feel like for me, I just want to be like a part of the community, and I want to be able to contribute to the community. So the way that I do it is by making music, playing shows. Sometimes I help put on shows. I do the podcast.
It's great.
This is what I do.
It's great.
And then you have your thing that you do that is providing a whole different set of things for the community.
It's a trip. Yeah, man. Thanks for noticing. And I do that too. Starting out Death Comes Lifting, I had a podcast. I wanted to promote shows. I still do want to do all that shit. I do want to help the community. And I love that the gym can be used as like a show space. We just had a dungeon synth show at the gym last night for night market in Allentown. It was cool as fuck, Like I love that. What other gym has like dungeon synth in it, right? Like I like to think we're one of one there. For our anniversary party, we had I don't know if you probably do know Moma Naden. He's a local dude. Fucking amazing. Yeah, one of the best, really just one of my favorite rappers, period, let alone that he's like a local dude that like I know is like so cool. He played our anniversary party, was awesome, had like a hip hop show in the gym. I love doing that shit and just feeding the community that way. Yeah. And I treat my kind of yoga classes like they've kind of become like live shows, like a live band or whatever. We set up the music and the lights, and it's kind of like I assume like heavy metal character and get the crowd pumped up, and like it's super fulfilling in that way.
Do you have any things that are like on the horizon that you're trying to work towards, or are you just trying to keep it all together right now?
Both. Isn't that like the balance of anything? I'm sure you feel the same way in all you do, right? Like there's, of course, I'm plagued and haunted by all the ideas I have and aspirations that like I will never achieve or, something, but I work towards them, but also it's very, as entrepreneurs or like creatives or people that are in charge of these things, like I feel like I have to occupy the space that is so out there in the future and work towards that goal. But I also have to really be here too at the same time and take care of like what we do have and the people around me and the roots and like the community. But also I have aspirations that are so high. So it's a balance between those things, always. So that's something that I'm dealing with. I'm practicing getting better at. But I do like, I see, and I've always said, like, I see Death Comes Lifting as kind of like the goth, like Nike or Reebok. Like, I want to make it like, I wanted to take it to be like a lifestyle brand. Like, it's so much more than just like, in many ways, starting the gym is kind of like, people are like, well, you did it, you did the thing. And I'm like, I feel like that's like step one,
Sure.
Like I got to the gym and that's like cool, but I don't want people to think Death Comes Lifting and think you're the goth gym. Which is cool, and thank you for noticing and thinking that. But I want to be like so much more than just a gym, a lifestyle brand, a community, a place. We'll have podcasts and bands and whole thing like that. So I always want to just build up the presence and build up the brand and image to like encapsulate more. I would love to looking at opening more or another yoga studio somewhere sometime soon, maybe, we don't know, but it's up there, more locations, expanding online presence, just general kind of thing. I personally have like just personal aspirations that I don't know if they fit Death Comes Lifting or not, but right now, I mean, a couple cool things I can talk about and I guess low key promote. Is a mutual friend of ours, Scott Massey, right? Is if for anyone that doesn't know or has never heard of Black Yoga, they're a place I took yoga when I was just taking yoga with no aspirations of becoming a teacher. In a way, it really spoke to me because it was like black metal yoga, and black metal is kind of like a In a more extreme sense, I guess they're kind of like doomy black metal yoga. I'm gonna butcher all the smart terms probably to describe the music that he and his band, the Black Yoga Meditation Ensemble, it's like dark, sick yoga music, dark, sick metal yoga music. Like the sounds that it creates when you're moving and vibing is so fucking cool. And they did that for a long time around Pittsburgh. I kind of came into the tail end of it. His wife, Kimmy Massey, was a yoga instructor, and I just, really loved it and really loved them. And they stopped for, a variety of reasons. And I already had, and I was doing Death Comes Lifting when I was taking their classes, right? But I wasn't like a yoga teacher yet. And I became one, and I started doing my own little yoga from the crypt, we call it, which is, it's like black yoga in appearance, in vibe, and maybe people that take the class, like it's an alternative approach to yoga. But at the same time, I'm just playing some music and being myself, and they created like this whole atmosphere, like this whole vibe. Like they made their own original music, and it was like they're like a band and doing it. It's like fucking super cool, dude. And Scott kind of hit me up recently, 6 months ago or so, a few months ago. He was just trying to sell his music equipment to me, basically. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Cause we have like Bluetooth speakers in the gym, and he kind of wanted to sell me a sound system for a very reasonable, friendly rate, I may add. Thank you, Scott. Great man. And I was like, wow, that's like, I don't really have any money, but let's talk about that, because, to have something from black yoga that was a foundational and important part of my practice and my existence, to like kind of just yoga traditions very much about paying respects to those that came before you and your teachers. And I do consider black yoga, Kimmy and Scott, a teacher that I had that kind of helped shape my philosophy towards fitness and yoga. And I have all the respect for them in the world. So I was like, that would be kind of really cool to have a piece of that in the gym, in the space, So Scott came out, and we, we're talking, and by the end of our conversation, they wanted to do a black yoga class at the gym, like a live band, like the Black Yoga Meditation Ensemble was going to get together and play music, and Kimmy was going to come back and teach the class, and I could just take it and like watch it and be in the gym. I have basically nothing to do with it other than like help promote. So I was like, wow, that's I'm honored, and he was kind of like, would you be into that? I'd be like, would I be into that, dude? That'd be like everything to me. So that's happening on June 20th at the gym. We're having our first real, we've had live bands, but this is a live band yoga class, and basically the resurgence, they're calling it, of black yoga. And black yoga was I'm sure about it, right? Yeah, of course. It was a huge community and a huge thing, and a very important thing around here. So to have them back for the first time at my space, and me being kind of a humble student of theirs and just bringing it full circle, means the world to me, man. And I'm really excited about that. And I'm sorry to say for anyone just learning about this that it basically sold out as soon as we announced it, which is a great problem to have, So we will definitely be doing more, whether it's with the Black Yoga Meditation Ensemble or whether it's just with other live music acts that we like, that fit the vibe, that can, I or somebody else can instruct a live yoga, class too. We're going to do that on a semi-regular basis, to just have live band yoga in our vibe, in the gym. So that's something that is new that we're promoting and working towards to kind of perfect that recipe, which is it's going to be a trip, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's super exciting. Scott had hit me up. I hadn't heard from Scott in so long.
Me either.
And, he just reached out and was kind of like, hey, I want, got this stuff that I'm doing, and wanted to just reach out and pick your brain about stuff. And, that was like how you got brought up in this. He's like, I want to come on the podcast, and you should have Zach on sometime too. And I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of know Zach. Not really. I know you by, if I saw you, I'd be like, oh, I know who that is.
Right. You're guilty by association.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
So, Scott is the one that graciously connected the dots on this episode.
Cool. Super cool, man.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things in yoga in my life that's like, if I follow that path, usually good things happen. If I get distracted and follow some other paths, maybe some bad things happen. So
Sure.
and listening to that and then having that come back around full circle and it going from a conversation, hey, let me give you my speakers, to like, hey, let's do this like live band music thing. And another thing about Scott is he's a brilliant fucking sound guy, right? Like he knows what he's doing, right? And his audio, I don't know what his he went to school for that shit. I'm gonna like butcher what his degree is in or whatever, but he like knows what the fuck he's doing, right? So for him to be like he's kind of like the Crip sound guy now. So when we have like bands and we have events and stuff, it's like for real. So it kind of like just upgraded the whole thing for just this like one idea that came from, you know, some stupid heavy metal yoga, right? So I feel really cool about that. I also feel really cool about this is probably a cool time to promote this is so our most popular classes are Sabbath Sunday classes that I started streaming them basically because Black Sabbath is my favorite band. And I was like, man, I feel like after when I started practicing yoga, Black Sabbath and yoga go really well together. You know, I'm just doing yoga and listening to Black Sabbath and, you know, doing my thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I feel like maybe people would like this. So I was really good friends with really good friends with Ashley Courts, the former owner of Black Forge.
Of course.
Right? Lovely woman, love her. So I hit her up with the idea. I was like, hey, I was like nervous because they have like real events there and like bands and stuff. I was like, what'd you think about like I did a Sabbath Sunday yoga class in Black Forge, you know, in McKees Rocks, for the ones that, you know, remember. That's like it's like an awesome venue, and I had like a stage and like lights and like the whole thing. And she was like, I would love that. So I did it, and it took off pretty well. And I made people get up at like fucking 9 a.m. to do Black Sabbath yoga McKees Rocks on Sabbath Sunday. And it became like, and it grew from there, and it never left. And it's still our most popular class. And I do it it's always by donation. It's free to sign up. I do it just like church. You know, you want to leave money in the cauldron on your way out? Love you. If not, come take a fucking Black Sabbath yoga class and spread the vibes when you leave. You know, it's totally free. And we got to the point where I had to do 2 classes at the gym every Sunday. I do 9 and 11 a.m. Sabbath Sunday yoga. And it's like my favorite thing to do. And it's such a good vibe. Right. And so Black Sabbath was my favorite band. We've been doing all that for like years. And I kind of became this like Black Sabbath yoga teacher character, which is a hilarious thing to have on your resume. And and obviously I saw the Birmingham reunion show back to the beginning when they're playing their last show with Bill Ward, with the real lineup. You know, that's what makes the difference. If Bill Ward wasn't in it, I probably wouldn't care, you know, but it's the original Black Sabbath for the last time. And I'm like, okay, I have to go to this fucking show. Like, I don't care what happens. Like Black Sabbath means so much to me. I never saw them. I've been like dedicating like a backbone of Death Comes Lifting is so Black Sabbath yoga. Like if there's a human being that has done more yoga and listened to more Black Sabbath at the same time than me, I would really like to have a conversation with this person. I feel like almost an authority on this subject. Right. So I'm like, have to go. And I was like, well, what if I try to teach a Sabbath Sunday class there, like out there in Birmingham, like that weekend, right? So I'm like looking up like parks to do it in. I'll set up in a cemetery, like whatever's that legal, we'll figure it out. I don't know. You know, I'm just gonna like do the same thing by donation. You know, I'll set up, Death Comes Lifting's doing Sabbath Sunday yoga for everyone that wants to show up, whatever. And I reached out to I saw a cool yoga studio in Birmingham. Their name's I Am Yogi. And I just reached out to them on a whim. I was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, and I'm going out to see Black Sabbath, and here's what we do. Send her some videos. And her name's Vicky, the owner of that studio. And they just like fucking loved it. And they were like, yo, come do Sabbath Sunday yoga. And she's like, have you talked to anybody else about this? I'm like, no, I just thought you guys look cool. And she was like, well, we want you. So like, come do this class. Like, so I'm doing a Sabbath Sunday class in Birmingham the day after the Black Sabbath show. The Black Sabbath show is on Sunday the 5th. I'm doing Saturday the 5th, the Sabbath show. And I'm doing Sunday the 6th out there in Birmingham. And it basically sold out as soon as we announced it. And I'm super hyped for that. And
that rules.
Hyped, nervous, like, really looking forward to it, really grateful. But it just seems like this like crazy thing that just transpired out of nowhere. But that's that yoga path, and that's staying true to you, man.
The thing is that it didn't transpire out of nowhere. You fucking you made it happen.
So you're right. But I in my mind it did. In my mind it did.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's how Yeah. Thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah,
Really,
no, I think that it's amazing what you can accomplish if you just do.
you really just have to ask sometimes too,
Yeah,
and just put yourself out there. And that is a scary thing to do at first,
definitely.
and then it becomes part of your life and part of your job is like, dude, I'm on the internet doing crazy fucking shit, and saying crazy shit. My level of like embarrassment to be like on camera or like doing any of that or like getting up in front of a group of people and like doing handstands and yelling and stuff. That's like so like not even in my mind anymore. Whereas before it really held me back, or something that you think about, or how am I going to be perceived on the internet? I'm going to get haters and all this kind of stuff, but the more you do it, the more like, I think you develop that, like, it's a thicker skin, but also just like a belief in yourself. And especially now with like the community we have around us and like the popularity of our Sabbath Sunday classes, I thought it was like, why wouldn't they want us in a way,
Yeah.
like it's cool. Right. So that, and I weaseled my way into going to see Black Sabbath. So like it was about that first, and then it became, okay, the focus of the trip is the yoga class now. So to continue to do more stuff like that under like the Death Comes Lifting guys, or under the Death Comes Lifting banner for me as like the the brand owner or the person, the yoga teacher. That's something I think I'm gonna continue to build and work towards is more stuff like that, more events that are different and fulfilling in different ways.
Yeah, you kind of like, I imagine it's probably really easy to kind of like unintentionally, now that you have this space, this crypt, to like, well, we're just going to do everything here. And then you kind of put yourself unintentionally in this bubble, just because you have this space. And it's like, well, it's great that we have this space, but we could still do other events in other places, both locally, and why not on the other side of the pond?
Yeah,
wherever,
and
build outside of there, and not
for,
get caught up in just having like, this bubble.
Thanks for saying that, man, because like it's something that I think it checked my ego a little bit too, to realize that, because I've worked on this brand. I was basically just punk rocking it forever, going to shows, sleeping in my van. I would drive and, set up and sell our merch and spread the word, just like any band would do, anybody building a brand would do. To go back to Black Forge, Ashley, of course, did that for a very long time, building Black Forge. And I was, good friends with her during that time. So I think I like was inspired by that a lot, that like rock and roll, like punk rock spirit of like, this might be a business, this might be a gym, but this is like my band and I'm fucking taking it on the road and we're going to motorhead it, and that's that spirit can get, it might've gotten lost or comfortable for a little bit for when we first opened the gym. And then it kind of became like, that's all fun and great. And that's like why I do it, but that's also fucking tiring and draining. And like, some days it's like, God damn, like, I kind of hit the point where like, I did all this, we worked so hard, we built this, now people are going to come to us,
Yeah.
I'm sick of going everywhere. Now that we have a spot, like I'm confident in our, our ability, our product, our vibe, our community, that, people are going to come to us. And that happens, but then, that's it. Right. So to continue to build, I kind of had to be like, oh, okay, well, I can't lose that. Can't lose that spirit. I got to keep doing that shit. Just do it in maybe a more smarter, calculated, and controlled way, and pick your battles. And that's something that I'm working on. Yeah,
there's a lot of risk, because now there's much more to lose. It's a lot more than just you with some t-shirts in the vehicle, right? You got
people,
a whole thing. You got there's a whole infrastructure that involves like financial things, social things, back to like the weight of it all. It's great when it works, but these things it's so easy to stumble and it all just fucking falls apart.
Yeah.
It's like a Jenga tower.
It's so true, man. And that's something I talk about in my yoga classes too. Yoga and fitness and health, it should refine your mindset and like, just not just go so far beyond the physical body. This is vain. This will go away. It's temporary, and enjoy it while it lasts. But we're a couple bad decisions away from fucking everything up. Or a couple, maybe one. Maybe I'm one bad decision away, and then everything goes. And all the people that are lives are touched and strengthened by Death Comes Lifting, and everybody I have around me, that holds me accountable, and I think about that shit, so I really try to focus on, refining this and
Mm-hmm.
making good decisions and letting your heart lead forward and doing the right thing. Right. So that's how I've chosen how to deal with the weight of all of that. And something that hopefully I can extend to people that take like some yoga classes with me and stuff too is like, the quality of our life often depends on the quality of our thoughts and the quality of like the choices we make and the people we're around, that influence that.
Definitely.
So community and what you do and helping the community, putting good vibes and good events and good things together for the community is I see it as one of the most like noble things anybody can do, because we are such a product of who we are around. And um yeah, I've been around, and involved with bad people, and you get like kind of, you become that, or you suffer the consequences of that. So to be associated and be around with such awesome people and such awesome community and positive vibes, I mean, there's nothing more that will change your life, way more than any exercise or diet would.
For sure.
So that's a huge part of it too, man. Just like keeping that in mind and serving that the best as I can.
It's heavy, bro.
Super. Super. But when we're in the position we're in, that we worked for, and it's fun and it's cool, and you can be like, Crypt Keeper character, and that's all fun, but it's fucking heavy too, man. And all this darkness doesn't come from nowhere. I'm not just making this shit up. It's in there. It's shit we deal with. There's darkness there. There's trauma there. There's and this is a way to heal it. Move forward, and hopefully, the best thing you can do is to inspire others to do the same. And one person feeds off the next. I try to keep that in mind in yoga classes, but also with everything we do. Is if you leave a person better than when you found them, they're going to go and spread that vibe to somebody else. And that's really how we actually, in my opinion, I don't pay attention to politics and all that shit, but that might be how we like really can change the world. Is we change people, we change our community around us, and then we're good, or we're better, and communities change each other. That's where I see my place, my place in the world, is to maybe try to help that, on a little more of a deeper level than just having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I try to keep it in mind as best I can. I don't always win, but I keep it. I fuck up like everyone else, but I try to keep it in mind, man.
Yeah. Love it. Well,
I love you, dude.
Shit. It's been quite a conversation today, Zach.
Thanks, man. I appreciate the opportunity, bro.
No, it's been great. Just like, getting to pick your brain a bit, learn more about the whole scale of everything you're doing, even though I have a pretty good idea about most of it.
I know,
I'm an active observer.
Oh, well, cool, man. But I appreciate just being in this presence, dude. This is I know it's clear, you were telling me you've been doing this for 11 years, man, and that's no fucking joke, man. I've had DCL for 7-8 years. I've had the gym for 2, but like to really go in and day out for that long, and we're surrounded by a product of all your work.
It doesn't. Yeah,
that's great, dude.
It doesn't even feel like it, honestly.
Good. Then you're doing it right.
It's just it is what it is.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like it, but when you look back and you're like, oh shit, like 11 years.
Yeah. I mean, it's a long time, but it's like I think that the thing that I'm most thankful for is that my life has been stable enough for that long that I've been able to maintain this.
Gotta be grateful, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like not to get like, whenever I started this, I was coming out of like a pretty low point in my personal life, where there's no way I would have been able to do anything like this had I not changed.
Negativity is used for growth. Yeah.
And like, I think like at least the beginning of the podcast was like a really big, like, helped me kind of just like have something to kind of work towards,
right.
And like getting to actually sit down and have conversations like this with people started to make me feel a lot less alone in the world. I think it's so easy to like isolate and be all like tortured artist bullshit. And it's like, we all go through this
for sure,
but nobody talks about it because everybody's like too busy trying to be cool or act like nothing's wrong.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You're doing same thing as I do. Use your pain to help others and bring others together and, heal yourself along the way. And that's why I think the authenticity is just there, and the real ones will see it, and the ones that don't, then whatever.
Yeah.
You're doing the right thing, man.
Hey,
keep doing it.
I appreciate it, Zach.
I appreciate you, man. So much. It was good to meet you.
Yes, likewise.
Yeah, thanks, man.
So Death Comes Lifting.
Yeah.
Check them out online, all the social media
Whole
platforms.
thing, man.
All sorts of fun stuff to dig into.
Google it.
Events,
you'll find it.
Online stuff, whatever. If you're not in Pittsburgh, check out the online stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not in Pittsburgh, you can harass Zach about coming to a yoga studio near you.
Please
do Sabbath Sunday.
Please do. I would love to hear from you. Yeah. Hit us up. Slide into my DMs.
Yes.
Yeah.
And with all of that being said, that is all, folks. Thanks so much for being here. I'll be back again next week with another episode. Same time, same place, same channel. You know the drill. My name is Brian Sykes-Howell. Start the Beat is the podcast. 2025 is the year. And until next time, take care of yourselves. Take care of the people around you. Peace out. We did it. That was a podcast. Woo!
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, everybody.